Well, good morning, all.
Forgive me, I'm still eating some breakfast.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. That's what they
I'll
hear
be
at
right
the
with you.
It's a
starts.
crunchy breakfast. Celery?
Me?
Yeah.
Breakfast biscuits.
Ooh,
Ooh,
yum.
that sounds good. I haven't had anything to eat.
I haven't either. I should have, but I didn't.
Sure, make me the
SQ3N,
glutton.
the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
Sorry about that.
Oh, sound good.
All right.
I'm your captain. I'm your captain.
Okay. I think I have everything arranged properly. Hello, everybody in the chat room. Sorry, we are delayed this morning more than normally or normal. Okay. Yeah, we had a little meeting this morning before we got together for this show. It's going to be a really, really good show. I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know what we're going to talk about.
In other words, it's a normal show.
Yeah, our meeting was not about what we were going to do on the show. It was something entirely different. But we're going to talk about that on the show. That's exciting, I think.
Really?
Where is...
Oh, I wasn't part of that meeting, so I'm curious.
No, you weren't.
It was. We're deciding who we're going to vote off the show. No.
The island.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve. I'm just kidding.
I didn't even know I was on the boat.
That's why we're voting you off, because you weren't saying. Hey, what good is he? He's not saying anything.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm looking at the wonderful show notes that Lynn always prepares for us to see if there's anything interesting to talk about. The importance of myths and fairy tales for Christian children. Well, it'll just have to be play it by ear, as we normally do. All right. Oh, wait a minute. I thought I was sending. I was sending a message to Sarah Fabulous, but I sent it to Sarah Boyle instead.
Oh, jeez.
I've been doing that lately. I have two friends named Brent, and they're right next to each other in my contact list because they both have similar last names, and I always send it to the wrong one.
Hmm.
He goes, "Nope, not me. You want the other one." Oh, darn it.
Yeah, do you get? Yeah, sometimes I get like these text messages, and I'm thinking, I really don't understand this whole question and what they're trying to communicate to me. Must be a wrong number. Okay, there is our. All right, now that went to Sarah Fabulous with an H.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no, she's at the car shop. Oil change. Okay.
Forget we had a show today?
I'm taking mine in for an oil change later.
Well, you know, that's a good idea. I'm going to go right now and get the oil change in my car. Oh, gosh. All right. I guess it's time to start a show. I said to Sarah, if you want, though, I'll send you a link. If you want to be on the show. We'll see what happens. Sarah Boyle, by the way, is my friend here in Atlanta. We sang in the choir together at St. Andrews. And she's now, we both left St. Andrew and we're at different parishes. I think she's still actively involved in singing, participating in the music program at her church, but I'm not, and I miss it. Anyway, okay. That's neither here nor there. And let's see, we're on the air on Google Hangouts. And I did the sound check, and I have the recording going on the H5. So
just gonna ask that. Did you hit the record button?
seeing a steady red, and it's 272 on the 16th. Here we go.
This is SQPN, the StarQuest Production Network, leading the way.
You're listening to Catholic Weekend, episode 272 for the week ending Saturday, May 16th, 2015. Good morning. I'm Jeff Nielsen, also known as Captain Jeff, here in
I'm your captain.
Roswell, Georgia.
I'm
And
your captain.
joining me today from
I'm feeling
Oklahoma
mighty
is Steve Nelson. Good morning.
Hello, everybody. Back once
And
again.
also in Montana, Father Corey Stika.
Howdy, y'all.
There's a rodeo
In Montana.
where they come from
Wow,
miles
that
around.
rodeo never ends.
Yeah, I know. It keeps going. It's one of those perpetual rodeos.
It really is. How many weeks?
No,
How are you all doing this morning?
It's Saturday.
It is.
Yeah.
Yay.
I think I'm one of the few people that not as happy about it being the weekend, because that's when we actually work. You know,
Yeah.
we don't work otherwise. You know.
I know, on the golf course every day.
Yeah. Well, not today. That's for sure. It's kind of rainy here right now.
Is it? And I guess it's been nice and dry in Oklahoma.
Nope.
Nope.
Somebody told me yesterday that since the beginning of the year we've had like 26 inches of rain.
Holy
Wow.
cow.
Yeah. I don't know if that's true. That's just what they said. I have no way of verifying it. But we
That's-
certainly have had an awful lot.
That sounds like Seattle weather. I
well,
mean,
we
really.
it will stop. June 15th, it'll probably just, the spigot will turn off, and we won't have another drop until probably October.
Just the occasional tornado.
Yeah, as long as they're occasional. We can live
Exactly.
with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at, I'm always looking at the weather, although I'm not flying. I'm technically on vacation right now still, so haven't flown in more than a week, but I still have the habit of looking at the weather and seeing how bad everything is around the country. And I was just telling Steve that every time I look at it, it's like the same giant blob of severe weather in the middle part of the country, and it's just not moving. It's not moving to the eastern part of the United States as it normally does. So,
Yeah.
Which is okay with me because we've been having just wonderful spring weather here. Temperatures in the upper 70s and low 80s and blue skies, and it's really nice.
Well, after a 3-year drought here, we're not complaining because all of the ponds and lakes and streams and rivers are all full, so we're happy with that.
What kind
And
of
there's all
temperatures?
this green stuff.
Oh, green stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually it's kind of brown there in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it has been lately, yeah.
Especially, although not so much in your part of the state. In the southwestern part of Oklahoma, it's always kind of brown.
Well, pretty much the whole western half of the state is plains, flat plains, and it's really been dry. It's usually dry, but they've been getting a lot of rain this year, too.
So, Montana, what kind of temperatures do you have this time of year, Father Corey?
Oh, we'll have 50s, 60s. I mean, it's usually pretty comfortable. Sometimes we'll actually get 70s, which we really enjoy that, of course, because then it's summer. But yeah, we're usually they're comfortable temperatures, but they're not nowhere near as hot as what we get during the summer.
Mm-hmm. And how hot does it get in the summertime?
We'll usually sit about 90s.
Okay, that's hot.
And a few times we'll hit triple digits. That's only about once or twice a summer do we get that hot. It's not like Oklahoma where it sits there like all summer, but
But Steve loves that warm weather, right, Steve?
I do. I'm most comfortable when it's about 85.
Mm-hmm.
80,
prefer-
85, somewhere in there.
I prefer like 70, 72. That's nice.
oh,
Well, it
yeah.
really depends on the humidity.
Yeah.
A dry 85 is very comfortable for me.
Well, you know what they say. When you're talking about weather, you have nothing to talk about. I do have something to talk about. As I mentioned, I'm on vacation, and last weekend, after doing the show, I went out to California and visited my mom, and had a nice visit with her on Mother's Day, and a nice Mother's Day meal, etc. Then I came back, and then let's see, yesterday was a big day for my youngest, Natalie. She is graduating today, in fact, in just a few hours.
From high school?
That's to her.
Yeah.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
Yesterday was the award ceremony, and then after that, in the afternoon, the baccalaureate mass. But she got a couple of awards. And she wasn't even expecting this one. She was the outstanding senior in AP Latin.
Oh, wow.
And in fact, which was kind of ironic, is that she wasn't actually there to get the award because she was taking her AP Latin exam.
Oh,
during,
geez.
they couldn't postpone it or whatever. So she came in like a little bit later. Three of the girls that were taking the exam came in to accept their awards, and then they went right back out and to continue their exam.
That's funny.
And then the other one she received was for leadership in the dance program, a departmental award. So she got two big awards. So we're really,
very cool.
pleased and proud of our daughter. And as I said, she'll be graduating today. So that'll be our last one out of high school and on to the next chapter of her life, going to college.
Uh-oh, so you're going to have empty nest syndrome here pretty shortly, huh?
Well, sort of, although our nest is never empty here. Our oldest, who graduated 10 years ago, I think. Shoot, 2005. Yeah, 10 years ago. Alyssa, she is actually she lives with us, not still, but she came back and she's living with us right now in this big old house because she just started the job as a school teacher at a Catholic day school fall of last year. And she's just, saving her money. They don't pay a lot of money, so she's saving her money for a down payment for a house or an apartment or something. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So,
Good for her.
Yeah. That
You got
is
good
your
kids.
update. Yeah, we I think so. I don't know how. Probably Linda. She's the reason that they're doing so well, I think.
She kept them in line, huh? No.
Yeah. So, anywho, what do we want to talk about next here?
Good question. No, this past week we had our priest retreat here in the diocese.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's right.
we go to Red Lodge, Montana, which, if you're not familiar with Montana, it's southwest of Billings, and it's right at the foot of the Beartooth Mountains. In fact, it's right at the foot of the Beartooth Pass, which is one of the most beautiful drives in the country. I mean, it goes up to 11,000 feet. It's a U.S. highway, but it's not open during the winter. It's not open right now. It doesn't open until next week. They actually have to get the rotary plows out and dig out the road. That's how much snow is up there still.
Wow.
And so it's only open about 15 miles south of Red Lodge. Well, the resort we go to is just outside of town. It's right along this beautiful creek in this valley. I mean, it's just this idyllic place to go spend a week retreating. So we go there every year, and it's just a wonderful place. They always treat us well, and it's always just a fantastic experience. Well, this year we had Kathleen Beckerman, who she's been on EWTN quite a bit. She's she does a lot of work and I'll talk more about what she does for my pick of the week, because my pick of the week is related to that. But she came and kind of talked to us about living the spiritual life as priests. So she talked about spiritual warfare. She talked about what we the importance for us as priests of doing holy hours, Of course, Bishop, now Venerable Fulton Sheen, was very keen on that idea that we as priests spend an hour. And one thing she mentioned is that when we celebrate Mass, we do the Liturgy of the Hours. That's not for us. That's for our parishioners. We do that to pray for them, but we still need the time for ourselves to pray. So that's why she emphasized doing this Holy Hour, which, it's something that, frankly, some of the priests in my diocese probably haven't heard that in a long time and needed that reminder. Frankly, I needed that reminder, that I need to spend some time, instead of goofing off like I usually do during my free time, that I need to actually spend some time in prayer. And it was really just a wonderful retreat, a wonderful time of just kind of reflecting on this need for prayer, this need for how we can serve, and and how we can also encourage our parishioners to pray for us. And that's kind of as a teaser for what my pick of the week will be, because that's a major part of her ministry, is working on prayer for priests. So it was a great week. It really was. And of course, it's always nice to get out of town. I can't say it was definitely not a silent retreat. We don't do silent retreats here. They're pretty relaxed retreats. Red Lodge has a nice brewery called Red Lodge Ales that got visited and enjoyed. Sarah's actually a little jealous because they've got on tap, they've got they call it a broken barrel stout, and they take chocolate stout and put it in whiskey barrels. And let it condition in this whiskey barrel, so you get that chocolate flavor with the whiskey and the stout, and then they put it on nitro, so you got that smooth nitrogen, put that smooth flavor. Oh yeah.
That sounds to me like the breakfast stout at the Founders.
Yeah, I think it's the same kind of idea, and it could very much be a breakfast. I mean, it's that good. It could be a breakfast drink. I don't know if it would be good for you as a breakfast drink, but it could be a breakfast drink. So enjoyed that as well. So it was a good week. It really was. It was enjoyable, and just time to get away and visit with brother priests and have some good meals and retreat and all that good stuff.
That's important. It really is, to kind of get away and relax and get away from all the rat race, and yeah,
exactly.
We all need that. Unfortunately, we sometimes don't get that.
No, and I know that's something lay people need as well, that they don't even consider as an importance. But priests especially, we need it, because we need that time to kind of pray and recenter. We can get so caught up in the busyness and go of parish life, of masses and all the stuff we have to do. We kind of lose sight of needing to kind of recenter ourselves on Christ, just as anybody does.
I think that I may be wrong about this, but it's my perception that here in the United States we don't take many vacations compared to some of the other countries around the world. Like in Europe, it seems like I listened to a couple podcasts that originate out of Europe, and it seems like every few weeks they're on a vacation somewhere. Thinking, wow.
Well, look at things like the Vatican press office shuts down for the month of July or August. I can't remember which one, but just completely shuts down. And they all go on vacation for a month.
Yeah.
It's like, I could handle that.
It's not uncommon in Europe. I mean, I think France and Germany do similar things.
I mean, one thing I kind of admire for both Great Britain and Canada, is they have bank holidays. They have holidays where they just say, it's time for a holiday. There's no reason for it. We're just taking a holiday. We're taking a day off.
I blame the Puritans here.
Exactly. Yeah, we have to have
we still have the Puritans
philosophy.
Here?
No, but I think that it instilled this cultural philosophy that says if you're not doing something, it's bad.
Yeah.
You must be doing something at all times.
Yeah, Puritans and Germans, kind of the German work ethic too kind of fits in that as well. But
the worst ones are those German Puritans.
Oh yeah, they're the worst. They never take any time off. They collapse at their desk and wake up.
They don't even have bedrooms in their houses.
Well, it's kind of funny that here in the United States, we can say, most jobs will give you starting 2 weeks of vacation a year.
Hmm.
Overseas, that would be considered almost criminal to have
Mhm.
that little amount of vacation time. As a priest, it's kind of luxurious. We are by canon law required to have 30 days of vacation.
I like
But
it.
yeah, and we consider that luxurious. In most countries, they go like, yeah, that's kind of the minimum, isn't it?
That's even in the military. I remember that everybody, from the first day, you have 30 days of leave every year. I think.
Well, no, you had to kind of build up to it, but you got it worked out. Take 30 days. I think it was like 2.5 days a month. You built up.
Oh, okay.
So it worked out to 30 days a year. But that means after 3 months you could take a week off.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that long before you could take leave. And usually, because it started building when you went to basic training, that it pretty much by the time you got done with your training, you had enough leave built up to take a week off. That was kind of nice.
Hey, do you hear that music?
I do.
I do.
Me too. At first I was going, what is that? Oh, that's my program over there playing Puxatawny Phil, Alan Marchand and his group. And that's a reminder for us to take, speaking of breaks, our first break. And what we're going to talk about right now is very important. We have a big shindig coming up here in less than a month. Actually, let me tell you exactly how long it is. 21 days, 20 hours, 16 minutes, and 46 seconds. I don't know what I based that on, but it's about 21 days from now, and that's the Catholic New Media celebration. And we are very excited about what is going to happen on that day. That Sunday here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, actually down toward the airport, the ATL, we like to call it, and the Georgia International Conference Center right next door, the Marriott Gateway Hotel and the Spring Hill Suites, all nestled together in that lovely area. And that's where we're going to be holding our very informative, very fun conference. And many of you listening are going to join us there, and we're very excited about that. And the reason why we're really excited about it is that we've made some big decisions recently about finalizing our exact schedule, and I don't know if we're in a position this morning to reveal all the exact details. Are we, Father?
No, we still got some last minute decisions to make, but it looks really exciting. We made some good decisions that I think will be a lot of fun. They'll be put some good meat into the conference. Be very enjoyable. We're just not quite 100% ready yet.
Okay. Well, that will be, I'm sure, next week when we do the show. We'll lay it out for you. But I can tell you that if you're looking for getting together with your favorite StarQuest Production Network community people, it's the place for you. If you're there for learning about new media and how to blog and how to get started in podcasting and how to form social media teams and marketing for your parish, that's the place for you to go. It's a good nuts and bolts information for you there. And also the opportunity to kind of, well, I'm not going to say. I'm going to tease it there and leave it at that. There are going to be plenty of opportunities for you attending. So stay tuned to the CNMC page on the SQPN website. And as I said, we're very excited about what we have planned in less than a month.
Yeah, we should be able to get details out here in the next couple of days. So we're just a couple last minute things to iron out, but it should be a lot of fun.
And it's still not too late to register for the event if you haven't already done so. Now, unfortunately, I think that our conference rate on the hotel room has elapsed, and that was on yesterday was the deadline for that. But there still may be rooms available at that rate. You'll just have to ask. But I think there's still good deals to be had via other discount hotel sites as well. So anyway, so really excited about it, and can't wait to reveal more very soon. All right.
Wow. What a tease that was. I have no idea what you're talking about. I bet I know one of them, though.
Oh, yeah?
Catholic Weekend Train Whistle Choir.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we got to make sure we get that going. I'll have to make sure to pack mine.
The day before, of course, actually 2 days before, Friday afternoon, evening, the Eucharistic Congress, a very large event, a very well-attended event. I mean, we've had upwards of 30,000 plus attend the Eucharistic Congress in Atlanta. I'm not sure how many are going to show up this year. It's free, and a lot of great Catholic speakers that you would recognize are going to be in attendance on that Friday night and mostly the Saturday events. And we're going to have a SQPN table in the exhibit hall at the Eucharistic Congress, which is the same venue that we're holding our CNMC as well. So Steve's going to be there, Father Corey, myself, probably Greg and Jennifer, Father Roderick, kind of rotating in and out and hanging out at our table in the exhibit hall of the Eucharistic Congress.
I believe Sarah will have her new book ready by then. It's supposed to be done printing and ready to be sold. She'll have it there, and we'll be signing it. So you'll be able to get a signed copy from her.
Yep. And you know what? I'm planning on, I believe it's going to work out logistically. We'll see. Having my little mobile podcasting set up there as well. So we'll probably be doing some live podcasting while we're there, and that should generate some questions from some of the exhibit hall visitors, I'm sure.
That's cool.
And you know what? We should probably do Catholic Weekend because it's Saturday.
We'll all be in place. So
we'll do an on-location recording of Catholic Weekend while we're there.
Yeah. You don't even have to register for the Eucharistic Congress, right? You just
nope. Just show up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be Catholic. If you're listening to this show and you're not Catholic, don't worry, we don't bite. Hard. But just head on down to the Georgia International Convention Center, and you'll really there's all kinds of stuff there for everyone. But at the very least, you can come over and find us in the exhibit hall, hang out with us. So.
It's always something special when you get that many Catholics in one place.
Exactly. A lot of great energy.
You see just the diversity of what the church is, every nationality, language,
absolutely,
type of person. Yeah, I love it. Can't wait. Talk about a retreat. That's going to be my retreat for this summer.
There you go.
It looks like Stephanie in the chat room saying, "Hey, we can pod squat."
Cool.
Yes, exactly.
So, Lynn found this 12-question quiz on the Eucharist. Should we have a little see if we're prepared for the Eucharistic Congress?
Oh, maybe we should. And while you're getting set up for that, I'll set up for the sound effects. Excuse me.
There we go.
Suddenly nervous, like going to confession.
I should give the quiz because, of course, I'm going to know everything as a priest. No.
Of course.
So first question.
Mm-hmm.
The word Eucharist means, now there's multiple choice. Thanksgiving, bread, sacrifice, or heavenly.
I know.
I know this answer too.
Okay, Steve?
Thanksgiving.
Yes. Eucharist is a Greek word that means thanksgiving.
And where is my sound effect for that? It's right here. We'll do this.
The boxing bell.
Okay, well, how about...
There we go.
I don't know. I got to laugh. I don't know what happened, but something I said woke Siri up on my phone, and it started searching for Thanksgiving.
I heard that.
That's funny.
That's my real bell right there. Let's see. I should just only a sound effect. All right.
There we go. Okay, number 2. Who instituted the Holy Eucharist? The apostles, the Pope, Jesus Christ, or Jesus' followers made it up after he died to remember him?
Oh, pick me.
I know. No,
Let Jeff do this one.
Okay. The answer is Jesus Christ.
Yes. He instituted the Holy Eucharist at the Last Supper.
Uh-huh. You know that. You know that's right.
This one might be a little bit harder. What event in the Old Testament foreshadows the institution of the Eucharist? Noah's Ark, Jesus is the new ark. The golden calf, Jesus is the new golden calf. The Ten Commandments, Jesus is the new law. Or the blood of the Passover lamb in Exodus 12, Jesus is the new sacrificial lamb. And that's Jeff.
I don't have
That's
a
a-
call. I gotta move.
Okay, go ahead, Steve. It's your turn. Your
Yeah,
turn.
there you go.
The last one, the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, read the story of the Last Supper again. You will notice a key element of the Passover celebration that is missing from the story, the lamb. This is because Jesus is the new sacrificial lamb of God.
Yeah, which disciple was it that looked over at Jesus in the distance and said, "Behold, the Lamb of God"?
That was John the Baptist.
John the Baptist.
Yep.
It wasn't. Well, I guess you could call him a disciple.
Yeah, you can call him a disciple.
Yeah.
Okay, true or false? Does Christ die again at every Mass?
Oh.
Steve?
No.
No, he doesn't.
No.
It's false and not supported by the church. And then there's a long quote here about how he doesn't. But yes, that's a falsehood that Protestants like to echo, but that's not the teaching. That's never been the teaching of the church.
Nope.
Okay. What is the correct teaching on the Eucharist? Now, these are kind of long. First, A. The Eucharist is not the literal presence of Christ, but he is there in spirit. B. The Eucharist is Jesus, the body and blood, together with the soul and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ, and therefore the whole Christ is really, truly, and substantially contained. C. The Eucharist is a way to remember Christ's sacrifice and victory over death, but not physically or spiritually present. Or D. The Eucharist is a wonderful way for our church family to gather and celebrate a meal.
That one's easy.
Okay, Steve?
B.
Yes, it is. That's absolutely correct. And if you want to find out more about that, you can look at Catechism of the Catholic Church 1374.
Read the answer again.
Yeah, read the answer because people may have not remembered what
Okay.
B was.
The Eucharist is Jesus, the body and blood, together with the soul and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ. And therefore, the whole Christ is truly, really, and substantially contained.
BBSD, baby.
Body, blood, soul, and divinity.
Yep.
So do we want to take another break or keep going?
Let's keep going. I know you heard that music in the background, but
Yep.
I shut it down.
Okay. We can trace, now this one might be a little bit difficult. We can trace back the basic lines of the order of the Eucharistic celebration being Mass, to the Council of Trent in the 1500s, the First Vatican Council, the 2nd century and St. Justin Martyr, or the Second Vatican Council.
Trace the history of the Mass, is that what you said?
The order of the Eucharistic celebration, or what we call the Mass.
Okay,
Jeff.
go ahead, Jeff.
Justin Martyr.
Yes. As early as the 2nd century, we have the witness of St. Justin Martyr for the basic lines of the order of the Eucharistic celebration. They have stayed the same until our own day for all the great liturgical families. So all the different churches still use the same format.
Is that
And
the Didache? That
Yeah, the Didache.
Didache predates him, but it does
Oh.
kind of mention the same. I mean, it talks about the same basic idea, but it wasn't as fleshed out as it was, as I recall.
with Justin Martyr and his apology to the emperor or whatever,
Yep, exactly.
explaining why he wasn't going to bow down and worship the emperor.
And that the Christians weren't actually slaughtering, because one of the rumors that was going around at the time was that Christians were killing children and eating them.
Cannibals.
They were cannibals. And that's one of the things he wrote against is, no, we're not literally eating human beings, but we are eating the real presence of Christ.
Yeah, there were a bunch of disciples that left the fold early on when Jesus was teaching in the 6th chapter of John, the Bread of Life discourse, because they really thought he was talking about eating people, cannibalism.
Yeah,
And they left.
exactly. Okay, let's go on. Ready for the next one?
Yes, let's do it.
We're
Okay,
doing good. We're passing the course so far.
Yeah, so far so good. We're about halfway there, and we're doing good so far. In the New Testament, these miracles helped to prepare for the institution of the Eucharist. A. Jesus walking on water and fire, water turned to wine at the wedding of Cana. B, multiplication of the loaves and fishes, water turned to wine at the wedding of Cana. C, none of these. D, multiplication of the loaves and fishes, Jesus forgives the debts of taxpayers. Any guess?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, what was the question again?
In the New Testament, these miracles helped to prepare for the institution of the Eucharist.
Okay, it's going to be A or B.
Mm-hmm.
I think B.
Think B?
That's
What was
the
A again?
multiplication of loaves and the water into wine.
Yep, and that's what it was. A was Jesus walking on water and fire,
Yeah.
and then water turned to wine at the wedding of Cana. No,
Gotcha.
it was B, multiplication of the loaves and fishes, water turned to wine at the wedding of Cana. So,
Yay!
got that one right. By the way, Jesus did walk on water, but he didn't walk on fire. So, and he also didn't forgive the debts of taxpayers.
I was thinking about Jesus walking on fire. I must have missed. I was gone that Sunday. Didn't know that one.
Okay. When Jesus first introduced the Eucharist to his followers, they, A, placed Jesus on a donkey and had a parade to celebrate his wisdom. B, told him it was a difficult teaching to accept, and some of them stopped following him. C, began weeping and rejoicing. Or D, allowed Jesus to wash their feet.
Well, I think we already talked about this one, so I'm going to venture to say it's B.
B, yes, it was. The first announcement of the Eucharist divided the disciples, just as the announcement of the Passion scandalized them. This is a hard saying. Who can listen to it? And this is John 6, the bread of life discourse, is where that comes from,
Okay.
if you wish to look at it again. During what part of the Mass does the bread and wine become the body and blood of Christ?
Ooh, this is a good one.
Well,
A, the oblation when we offer ourselves to God. B, during the consecration after the words, "This is my body and this is my blood." C, the concluding doxology when the glorification of God is expressed. Or D, during the acclamation when the whole church sings the Sanctus, the Holy, Holy, Holy.
Oh, so epiclesis is not a choice.
Steve.
B.
B, yes. Although I would argue with the language of
Yeah.
during the consecration after the words. Actually, it's during the words, as the priest
As
says
you were
those
saying.
words.
This is my body, right?
Now, to be fair, the Eastern rites do consider the epiclesis, the point where the priest puts his hands over the gifts and asks for the Holy Spirit to come upon them.
And in some churches, they actually ring a little the Sanctus bell at that point.
Yep, exactly. But in the Western, Thomas Aquinas said it was during the words, "This is my body, this is my blood."
Well, what does Thomas Aquinas know?
I mean, he's only a doctor of the church. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what does he know? But yeah, that in
More
the
than
Western church, we do consider it during those words.
Okay.
So that's
That's a
absolutely
good one.
correct.
We're getting more advanced here. We're getting into the doctorate level.
Okay, here we go. Here's a Bible knowledge test.
Uh-oh.
Jesus said, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he will live forever. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life and abides in me, and I in him." In which of the Gospels? Matthew 6, John 6, Luke 6, or Peter 6?
I said
Jeff?
John 6.
John?
Nope.
It is. I kind of gave it.
Oh.
Yeah, I gave it earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna
We've been
say-
talking a lot about John, actually.
The Gospel of John chapter 6 is known as the Bread of Life Discourse.
Yes.
Study this chapter if you are in need of help understanding the Eucharist. Of course, by the way, Peter 6 is not a gospel in case someone
Yeah, yeah, I got that one.
Peter 6, I never heard of that one. No, that one was made up.
I guess you could say that was Mark 6, right?
Yep.
Because Peter, Mark is, well, anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Ringo would be.
It works. In the story of the road to Emmaus, Jesus was first recognized when A, after he had left their home, B, he first approached them, C, he offered insight into the scriptures, or D, he broke the bread at dinner. Jeff.
D. Breaking the bread.
Yep, he was recognized when he broke the bread. This is another indication of the true presence of Christ in the Eucharist. It is in the bread that we recognize him as well. And last one for a perfect score, because we're pushing a perfect score right now. Who said this? When you have received him, stir up your heart to do him homage. Speak to him about your spiritual life, gazing upon him in your soul, where he is present for your happiness. Welcome him as warmly as possible, and behave outwardly in such a way that your actions may give proof to all of his presence. John the Baptist, St. Francis de Sales, St. Therese, or Jesus? This is a tough one.
I think it's going to B or C.
Mm-hmm. Steve, you want to take
Steve,
a guess?
I just read something recently that would. I'm going to go with St. Francis de Sales.
I'll go with St. Teresa.
It is St. Francis de Sales. He
Yay!
is credited for that beautiful quote. The next Pope Francis, you have all the answers.
There's a few other obstacles before that could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that ends our
There we go.
game show quiz.
Yep.
Catholic Weekend
Passed.
Edition.
We can go to the Eucharistic Congress because we passed.
All right.
Yay! Of course, that's not required, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, probably those that can't pass it should probably go.
Let's see. How about let's talk about some etiquette, Mass etiquette, since we're kind of talking about the Mass and the sacrifice of the Mass and all that kind of stuff. 20 things to do and not to do in Mass.
Yeah.
Number 1, fast before Mass. Do. It is a church law that one fasts for at least 1 hour before receiving Holy Communion. Water and medicine can be consumed, of course. The purpose is to help us prepare to receive Jesus in the Eucharist. So I guess before I became a Catholic, it was like 24 hours or something, wasn't it?
At one point, really the old law, and there's some people who still remember it, was from midnight on. That's why it was. That's why a lot of Sunday masses would start at like 6 in the morning. You know, so people would get up, go to Mass, and then they could have breakfast right after. Because it was important to, of course, you wouldn't want to wait till noon before you could eat anything.
Yeah.
One thing to point out, too, is coffee does break the fast. I don't think a lot of people realize that. But coffee is something that can break the fast. Now, if most masses I've been to, you could all be chomping on your, breakfast sandwich as you're walking up the steps of the church, and you'd be fine. Because it is just 1 hour before receiving communion, not Mass.
What about breath mints?
I would argue that could be along the lines of medicine. You're not eating it for nourishment. You're not eating it for the caffeine. You're just eating it so that you don't knock someone out with your breath.
It's an act of charity.
Exactly. Maybe we better get like the breath spray instead of the breath mint before Mass. But
I used to have these conversations with college students. They'd always want to know, like, where's the rule start?
Yeah, where's the limit? So we can't have coffee, but can we have flavored water?
Well, hey, let's say that you screw up and you take a bite of that really good-looking donut, that they have between the Masses, and at some places, or you have a cup of coffee and you go, oh, I'm within an hour. Is that within an hour before Mass starts or before the Eucharist is consumed?
Before you receive communion.
Okay, so let's say you really mess up, like 15 minutes before Mass starts. There's no way you're going to get that hour before you can receive communion. You can still go to Mass. You don't take communion.
Right, and it's to show how strict seminarians can be. Of course, you're studying this. There were guys where maybe they would have something to eat right before Mass, and they'd actually be sitting there looking at their watch and waiting at the back of the church until, okay, I'm good now, and then go in line. That's a little strict. I mean, I think that the safest rule is, personally, I try to do the 1 hour before Mass, because that way you're sure. I mean, 1 hour before communion is a minimum. If you're really worried about it, if you don't have anything to eat or drink 15 minutes before Mass, 90% of the time you'd be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Half an hour before Mass, you'd be certain. I don't, unless it's like a daily Mass, then,
Right.
obviously you have the issues there. But most of the time that's not such a big deal because it's usually before most people would have breakfast anyways. But yeah, it's such the 1 hour before Holy Communion is such a minimum. It really isn't a fast.
Yeah. I think there's a certain amount of penance too in denying yourself communion if you've messed up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Helps
exactly.
remind you of the importance of it.
Yeah. And there's some argument to maybe even doing a longer fast, but that's something you're not obligated to do, but it is a good idea.
Well, I mean, you read about it all throughout the Bible. Prayer and fasting, prayer and fasting. Most of us do all right with the praying part, but the fasting part, well, that's hard.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's why we should do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, isn't it the Orthodox churches or some of the Eastern Rite churches that during Lent they abstain from meat and dairy for the entire
Yeah, they go total vegan.
for
Wow.
all of Lent? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not even, and it's like total vegan, but also without anything like olive oil, I believe.
I don't
mean,
know.
there's
the
very
extent of it.
strict fasting that is done by some of the Eastern churches. Because yeah, they won't even have like eggs, cheese, nothing like that.
Well, there's some other mass etiquette items here. Some of them are pretty obvious, like no food or drink in church except for small children, like little Cheerios for them to snack on during church. But for us, no, probably not a good idea to bring in a snack and eat your bagel in the middle.
You'd say it would seem obvious, but I've had to chase people out, like say coffee and rolls, and they come upstairs with some juice and donut. It's like, not in the church.
Yeah.
Usually kids, but it's not quite so obvious as you might think.
Well, it should be. How about chewing gum? That's one that just, first of all, it says it breaks your fast. It's distracting. It is considered impolite in a formal setting, and it doesn't help us pray better. But I do see more often than I should, care to, people just kind of chewing away on something. I'm thinking, what are you going to do? Like take that out of your mouth and put it underneath the pew seat?
It happens.
Go to, or you know what? I've even seen people in line going to communion and they're chewing gum. I'm thinking, really?
I've actually had to refuse to give someone communion because they came up and they were clearly chewing gum. And I asked them, "Are you chewing gum?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm sorry, I can't give you communion. It breaks your Eucharistic fast. He comes right up to the priest chomping on gum, thinking he's going to get communion.
Blowing a bubble.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Pope chewing and popping gum during Mass? I can't. Let's see. Cross yourself with holy water on entering and leaving the church. This is a reminder of our baptism, which made us members of Christ's church. I'd heard somebody told me, or I read somewhere that, when we enter the church and crossing ourselves with the holy water is appropriate, but that we didn't necessarily have to leaving because we've already been blessed with the sacraments. But I don't know. What is your take on that, Father Corey?
I say anytime we can get this most powerful of sacramental, use it.
Okay.
Yeah, the tradition is both directions.
Okay.
I figure, you know what, it's there, use it. And by the way, just in case anybody's listening who's on the liturgy committee that during Lent we put sand in our, knock it off. Just knock it off. Don't do it.
Well, I have the priest at our Newman Center one time. No, he didn't take the water out, but I think it was on the first Sunday of Lent, he filled it up with hot water, and it was just kind of fun watching the look on the students' faces when they put their hand in the water.
And it was. Are you talking hot as in at least warm or
warm? Yeah, but it was just a surprise. I don't think it was totally intentional. I think he just turned on both faucets when he was filling it up, and so it was warmer than usual. I think. Okay. I don't know the full story. I just remember seeing the looks on the students' faces.
I mean, admittedly, I do that when I do a baptism, but because the water has to sit there for a while, I'll get the water so it's full heat out of the tap, because then by the time we get to the baptism, it's lukewarm. It's comfortable for the kid. Because if you do it off the cold tap, it not very comfortable. It stays
Yeah.
kind of cool enough that the child usually doesn't like it too much.
That's my only complaint with my parish church is that it doesn't have holy water fonts at the doors. You have to go to the baptistry, which is in the back of the church.
Oh, sure.
But I don't know. It's inconvenient because if you come in the side door, you have to walk all the way over to the middle of the church. So it's just inconvenient. But
Yeah.
I wish they would put them at the doors.
So here's one that is kind of my pet peeve. And I think it's because people haven't been educated about what they're supposed to be doing or why they're genuflecting. And remember, again, that genuflecting is not making the sign of the cross, although a lot of people will make the sign of the cross while they're genuflecting. That's perfectly fine. But when you come into the church, when you genuflect toward the tabernacle, not the altar. Now, a lot of times, the altar and the tabernacle are all lined up nice and conveniently, but not always. So,
Right.
and there are some churches I've been to that they don't have a tabernacle in the church, so there's nothing to genuflect to.
Correct.
But and then the other thing is the watching people supposedly quote unquote genuflect by just kind of barely doing a little curtsy and not actually going all the way down and touching their right knee to the floor. And I'm thinking, is it really that difficult to do that for God?
Right.
But apparently it is. I mean, if you look at most of the people, they just kind of come in and go just a little curtsy or
bobs.
whatever.
What's kind of ironic is the people who do the little, quick bend the knee just a tiny bit, kind of flex the knee and that's about it. It's not the old people who have, bad knees. It's the 15-year-old teenager who's like, quick bob, brrr, get in the pew.
Right.
He doesn't even touch himself with it when he makes the sign of the cross. It's like, that far over his head, and just does the little quick, bob down and go, because they don't want to be there anyway, so they're going to do it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but I mean, I've seen
Cool.
I've seen adults, not do it, and then I'm thinking to myself, okay, so let's say that we're now transported into London, or to the Queen is there, and the Queen, of course, now when we to royalty, you genuflect. I think this is true. With your left knee.
Correct. That's what I understand too.
Not the right knee. And if you were in front of the Queen of England, would you just kind of do a little curtsy, like just bend my knee a little bit and then move on? No, you would probably go all the way down and make sure that left knee was touching the floor.
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do. I mean, but let's say, but a lot of people would, Steve, and they would be horrified if somebody didn't do that. But now, bring it to every Sunday in church and Mass. And people not taking the time and the effort to drop their right knee and touching, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be upset about that, but it's just like, come on, it's not that hard.
Well, it's not we don't think about what we're doing there and why we're there and who is there. Again, we talked about the Eucharist being the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. He is present in the tabernacle, and people just kind of treat it like, there's nothing special going on.
Yeah.
They don't think, they just don't understand and appreciate what's going on there. What is there?
A lot of it, though, has to do with their education.
Yeah, I think that is.
agree.
That's the bottom line. It's just that they don't know any better. Somebody didn't tell them why. I think I remember telling the story a few times on this show over the years. We were on vacation in Florida, and we went to this parish, and they didn't have a tabernacle in the church itself. It was like behind, or in the sacristy. I don't know where it was, but it wasn't in view. And we were kind of looking at each other like, okay, where do we genuflect? And then finally we didn't genuflect. We just bowed to the altar and took our seats in the pew. And but then I saw all kinds of people. I think people that go to that parish, and they were all genuflecting. I'm thinking, well, what are you genuflecting to? Maybe
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe if you know exactly where that tabernacle is, even if it's behind, all the stuff and the altar and everything behind the sanctuary, maybe that's what they were doing. I don't know.
Yeah. I always look for the sanctuary light.
Yeah.
And it's helpful if it's close to the tabernacle, but I've seen some places where it's on the side wall, and and it's like, where is the tabernacle? I can't quite pick it out.
Right. Yeah. If you're new to the parish, it's sometimes difficult to
And
fine.
unfortunately, some priests some priests have put it in another room altogether.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that which drives me up the wall. It should be there in the sanctuary. Maybe not if it's not front and center where I think it should be. It should be on the center of the wall in the sanctuary, off to the side a little bit. You'll see churches like that too.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
My church just recently remodeled, and it had been off to the side, and they just remodeled the sanctuary, and now it's back behind the altar, and they've done a really good job
Nice.
of updating it. I'm really happy about that.
yeah, I think that that's been kind of the positive movement toward returning the tabernacle to its more prominent position.
I think our bishop is requiring it as parishes have the money to remodel.
Hmm. Very cool. Well, you know what time it is?
What's that time?
It is time for the picks. Wait. Thank you, Pat Cohn, for that. Let's see. Who would like to go first? Steve?
Sure. My pick of the week is an article that I saw on the Catholic News Agency website, and it's reporting on Pope Francis's homily from last Monday, and it's basically he's calling Christians to prepare for martyrdom, both small and large are great. I think he's calling us to be cognizant of the fact that it's getting more and more difficult to be a Christian in this world, and that all of us are going to have to face martyrdoms of different scale. Does that make sense? What I just said?
Yes.
No.
Like, when I think of martyrdom, I'm thinking, like losing your life completely
Right.
and ultimately. But I guess the sacrifices that we make, even small sacrifices, are kind of like tiny little martyrdom.
Well,
I don't know
there's
about you, but more and more I have people that make comments to me about being Catholic, and they're little snide remarks and things like that, and it's becoming
Sure.
more and more frequent, and you have to take those in a Christian way.
Right. Well, there's you'll hear the terms red martyrdom and white martyrdom. And red martyrdom is giving your life. White martyrdom is kind of those little small, and sometimes they're not so small. It can be losing your job. It can be being ostracized from a community. It can be, actual persecution.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about the issues of persecution, you don't lose your life, but you give up. You're sacrificing for Christ in a way that, again, it's kind of what you're describing.
Yeah, I'll put a link to this article in the show notes, but it's worth the read. But it's been on my mind ever since I read it. Is like, things are going to get worse before they get better for Christians, and so we have to be prepared for the things that are going to come and how we should handle them and what we're ready to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, even I guess like small things like you're in public, you're about to eat, and you're thinking, I need to make the sign of the cross and pray, but then you're going like, I don't know, I'm looking around, I don't want to put myself out there, and then I always think, be not afraid, just your faith and do it and do it in a confident way, such that this is a normal thing and it's not something that you're embarrassed to do, because
Exactly.
as we hear over and over in the scriptures that, if you denied me, then I'm going to deny you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big one there. I don't want to show up to the pearly gates or whatever. Nope, I'm sorry, you're not on the list because you didn't even have enough courage to pray in public.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that you're a Christian.
Exactly. Lord, when did we see you and not serve you? The separation of the sheep and goats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did we not? I didn't see you in prison.
Yeah, exactly. When were you ill? When were you hungry? Yeah. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, that's a tough one too. When I see homeless and they come up to me and they come up to me and ask me for money, and it's always like the reaction is like, no, I don't want to give you my money because I know what you're going to do with it. But I keep thinking, like, well, this is Jesus here, and he doesn't have a home, and he's asking you for money.
Right.
I mean, I know it's ridiculous, but when I walk through these areas and I see somebody and I try to avoid eye contact, but I'm thinking, if they specifically ask me for something, I'm going to give it to them because that's what I'm supposed to do. And even though I know that it's probably not going to go to their good and to their welfare, it's not my decision to make. I can't say, well, I'm not going to give you this $1 in my pocket or $20 bill in my pocket because I know what you're going to do with it. You're going to buy some booze and get drunk.
Sure.
Maybe
not.
Yeah, you never know.
It isn't really your money, Jeff.
No, it's not.
It's really yours.
Good point. It's not my money. I know, but
we all face the same things, and
yeah,
I bet you get knocks at the door. And,
yeah, and we do something so that it's in a way that can help them if they're legitimate needs. I mean, we do have people come through that they'll leave home knowing they're just going to mooch the whole way.
Yeah.
I mean, that was their purpose, but it's someone legitimate need. But what I like to do is things like, well, here's an example. When I did my train trip in February, someone needed a ticket on the local commuter train in Vancouver. Well, I just bought the ticket for them.
There you go.
Didn't give them the money. I just bought the ticket.
Or what I used to do when I had layovers in Hawaii, there's a very large area down in the west end of Waikiki Beach, kind of a big park there. I forgot the name of it, and a lot of homeless living in there. And they're asking for money for food, and a lot of times I just stop by, like McDonald's or something like that, and just buy a couple Happy Meals or whatever, and give them to them.
Sure.
Because that way at least you're giving them something, and you know that they're not going to use it in a negative way.
Right.
Unless they start throwing the hamburgers at each other.
Food fight.
Father Corey, you said you had a pick of the week regarding your retreat?
Yep. Actually, it's a two-part pick. The first part is the book that Kathleen gave us, Praying for Priests, the Mission for the New Evangelization. And it is what it says. It's a book on the importance of praying for priests, on spiritual motherhood, spiritual maternity. That women can adopt a priest as a spiritual mother, and men can do the same. They can adopt a priest as a spiritual father, as praying for them. This isn't just for women. This is something men can do as well. But this is an important thing that women do in model of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And then the front part of it is talking about the importance of praying for priests and how we can do it. The back of it are different spiritual exercises that can be done both by lay people and by priests. This book also ties in. This first of all came off of a document from the Congregation for Clergy on spiritual motherhood for the priests. It was a very nice little pamphlet, came out a couple of years ago, and then this kind of grew out of that. Well, then it also grew at the same time. Kathleen is also involved in the Foundation of Prayer for Priests, foundationforpriests.org. And again, talking about the need for a love for the priesthood, a love for priests, serving them, praying for them, developing that vocation of spiritual motherhood and fatherhood for priests. So this is something that lay people can do for us priests to encourage us, to support us, to pray for us, because Lord knows, our Lord definitely knows we need those prayers, and we do too. We know we need them. We've got a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of priests who don't always follow the path that our Lord has them, but through prayer they can be brought back. So
yeah, it's funny. We always think of what the priest can do for us, and praying for us, but you need it too.
Yeah. Oh, and we need it big time, because priests are always in a spiritual battle. As I said, one of the things she talked about at our retreat was spiritual combat, spiritual warfare, and priests are right in the middle of it. Whether we priests realize it or not, we're the ones that are going to be attacked the most strongly, because we're the ones that are out there in the front lines. We're the visible ones. We're the ones that we stand in for Christ.
Excellent. Thank you. That's a great pick. We'll have that link in the show notes, how you can get a copy of that book as well, and at least think about praying for your parish priest and all priests around the world. So thank you, Father, for that. And my pick is going to be 2 picks. My daughter, Natalie, her graduation today. If you'll say some prayers for her and her upcoming adventure in life from this point on. And the CNMC. It's not too late to register if you haven't already done so. So we hope to see you there, and I'm looking forward to it. So I think we have time quickly to talk about fathercorey.org.
Yep, frcorey.org.
frcorey.org.
You can find my homilies there, and you can find me on all the goodies, Facebook, Twitter, and so on, at frcorey Stica. Last name spelled Sticha.
All right. And Steve?
Everythingesteban.com.
All right. And I'm Catholic Pilot and the Airline Pilot Guy, airlinepilotguy.com. And you can find more information about us and our digital presence in the show notes. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, everybody in the chat room. Thanks, Lynn. Everybody have a great Catholic weekend. Take care. God bless.
SQPN, leading the way in Catholic new media.
Perfect ending.
I only had to go backwards a little bit to add a little bit more time. It worked out pretty well.
Rich.
Yeah. I'm watching that thing just moving along, the playhead moving along. I'm thinking, I'm going to need a little extra time. Maybe
backing up a couple of
30 seconds to a minute or so. But.
Very good.
All right. Oh, I like your shirt there, Steve. I just noticed what you were wearing.
SQPN. CNMC. Which one was this?
That was the first one, I think.
I don't remember.
It's orange, right?
We did 2 orange ones, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It may be the
Kansas City. Didn't we do orange?
No, we did
San Antonio then.
San Antonio. Yeah. And by the way, unfortunately, we're not gonna. We didn't get a sponsor for T-shirts this year, so.
Oh, bummer.
There aren't going to be T-shirts. So if you're listening right now and you're coming to the event, I'm sorry. Unless you're listening out there and you want to become a sponsor, it's not too late for that either. And if you want to sponsor the T-shirts, that'd be a grand thing, and that's what it will take.
Yeah.
And it's literally a grand thing if you volunteer to be
hint
the sponsor of the T-shirts.
Really, but I mean, if you're an organization, that's easy advertising.
Yeah, you get your logo on the shirt along with the CNMC logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be the only one on that shirt.
So yeah, consider it out there if you're thinking if you got some money burning a hole in your pocket. But otherwise, looks like you'll just have to use your imagination for a shirt this year. Anyway, so thanks again, everybody, in the chat room for joining us this week. And thank you, Steve and Father, for being there to help co-host this thing, this train wreck. There we go. Right on cue. Let's see, this is the one.
There we go. Haven't heard that in a while.
No, we haven't played that in a while. And if you're going to be joining us at the Eucharistic Congress on Saturday before the CNMC, make sure you hang out with us at the SQPN table there and help us do the Catholic Weekend on location live recording.
That'll be fun. That'll be a lot of fun.
All kinds of stuff during the day there. So.
Hey, Pat Padley, I see you're in the chat room.
Hey, Pat.
How you doing?
Yeah, he was here. Is he still here?
I don't know. It was a while ago.
He was,
yep, he's showing up in the list, so he's still here.
All right. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast. And again, thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us in the chat room. Lynn, again, thanks for your hard work with the show notes before and after.
Yep.